What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Myself, Uche, here. We're going to talk a little bit about some recent NFL news and some interesting news. If you're a Bengals fan, haven't had a lot to cheer about this year other than that win over Uche's Jaguars. And you're probably still upset about that comeback loss my Colts put on you. But one of the bright spots the past couple years has been Carlos Dunlap. This is a guy leads the Bengals in sacks, has a couple Pro Bowl seasons under his belt. But recently, some things have happened that I can tell as a fan frustrate me, and you can tell as a player from the other side of it how they would impact you. But I know as a fan, when I'm looking at one of my fan favorite players, so to speak, and I see the defense come in and make some changes, and maybe my players aren't utilized the same way they used to be, it can be frustrating because as a Bengals fan, I would still look at Carlos Dunlap as a playmaker. Just like as a Colts fan, I continue to think Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis were the playmakers they always were, even when they had to be brought in as situational pass rushers. And it comes to a point where, at the end of the day, coaches have to make decisions to put the best team on the field. And it's pretty clear that this wasn't the best player on the field for the Bengals. And obviously, there was a little bit of a heated exchange a couple weeks ago, but Carlos has done some things like trying to sell his house on Twitter that make us wonder if there wasn't a lot more behind the scenes in this. So I guess from that player standpoint, when you see your numbers to you be productive, and then all of a sudden you realize, hey, I'm not starting anymore, what's the frustration level between player and coach?
Well, a lot of times, with players who are veterans on teams and who have like a reputation, who have earned their stripes, so to speak, whenever there's going to be a significant change in that player's time, generally, as players, we want that to be, we want to have a conversation about that beforehand. Like, what is it that's going on? Why do you feel like I'm not the guy for this, for this job? And generally for guys who have been in the league, whether they're coaches or players, there's a conversation that happens before all of that. But I think in this situation here, I think there was just some kind of beef that's been going on maybe through the course of this season, even into the preseason or rather training camp. I really feel like there must have been some kind of miscommunication or lack of communication that caused a little bit of animosity, maybe coming from Carlos Dunlap, because things clearly boiled over when he got into a blow up argument with Lou Anarumo, who is a coach that I've actually been around before in Jacksonville, and he's a fiery dude. But Dunlap is a rare talent in the NFL. In his time in the NFL, the guy's averaged about 7.5 sacks over the course of his career, and he's been a multiple-time Pro Bowler. Right now, I think that maybe they're looking to start, getting a different look just because of maybe his age. I watched film on Carlos Dunlap this year against the Eagles. I mean, he had a couple of sacks, and he actually, pressed Carson Wentz multiple times in that game. So I'm not sure exactly what the issue is, just from an optic standpoint. When he's been in the game, he's been productive. They haven't used him as much, obviously, but I think there may just be a preference situation that the defense coordinator just doesn't want to use him. Maybe it's personal, maybe it's just, purely based on strategy, but it can't be good for him. And I'm sure that Carlos is happy to be moving on to a better situation in Seattle.
Well, I want to actually focus specifically on that because I was really taken back when Zach Taylor came out and said Carlos has done a lot of great things for the organization, the community. He deserves to go out the right way. A lot of PR, a lot of posturing from this, respectful of what this guy's done. But he went on to say something that really surprised me, and that was he's being sent to a team that's a really great organization. They're in the hunt right now. They've got a great record, and he'll have a chance to help. If you're on the Bengals right now, okay, you see a player that, by all accounts, even guys you mentioned there a little bit, should have pretty good amount of leeway to stay on the roster. You know, it's a guy that signed a contract extension. If anybody deserves the benefit of the doubt to play football, it's a guy like Carlos Dunlap. You've got your coach now coming out. Your team's 1-5, and he's sitting there saying, "Well, it's okay. He deserves to go out the right way. We went and sent him to a team that's in the hunt because God knows we're not." How does that make you feel as a player? Like you literally just said, "Hey, we shipped him off to a better place, so don't feel too bad for him." But at the same time, if I was on the Bengals roster, I would be like, "Listen, dude, maybe we actually needed some help at that situational time where it's third and long and we need pressure. You're not going to have a guy, at least maybe right now on the roster, even as you said, that provides that spark Carlos Dunlap does. Or is it just the fact that he's being disgruntled? Clearly, he's publicly disgruntled, and that just doesn't matter anymore."
Well, I think that's a little bit of damage control, right? They're going to put out there, oh, this is a vet who deserves a shot to get a ring, yada yada yada. Let's give him, we're clearly in a rebuild, which is partially true. They're in a rebuild. They don't have anything. They're not looking forward to anything this season or next season. So Carlos Dunlap, these are probably the most crucial years of his peak, the peak time in his playing career. He's probably, his production is going to be on its way down right now, but he's still at a high point. So you want to get the most that you can out of him in that regard. And I mean, of course, Seattle would jump on a situation like this. Their defense is absolutely horrid. They get no pass rush on quarterbacks at all. I think they're ranked in the bottom 10 in the NFL in terms of sacks. So, the Seahawks need somebody who can press off the edge. Carlos Dunlap really does fit the scheme pretty well. So this is a situation that really benefits both teams. The Bengals can offload some cap. They don't take a huge hit on his cap, but at the same time, they're going to get a draft pick for him, and that helps them in their rebuild.
And I guess kind of overlooked in this, what now would almost be a journeyman center in BJ Finney and a draft pick actually went over with this as well. So it's not just throwing them away for nothing. They got a
They got some
serviceable.
decent value.
Yeah, they
Because
both.
he doesn't really have value on the market. He's over 30. He's been playing a while. Like there's not really a big market for DNs right now.
They could have let him sit there and waste away on the bench. I think.
There are some teams that would have done that too.
Yeah. So I think if anything works out, maybe the best for both, yet to be seen, right? I mean, certainly, like you said, Carlos deserves that opportunity, as all players do, to be on a winning team. And, if we've learned one thing about the Bengals, they struggle sometimes to be a winning team and put themselves in playoff or Super Bowl contention. So with that said, man, we appreciate you guys checking out this video, and we will be back very shortly with more commentary.